Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Sneed. We are looking at Morning Math 21B. And if you did this yesterday, then this should be pretty easy for you today. But let's go ahead and get started. So number one says 8.9 times 2.1. So I'm going to do 8.9 times 2.1. And just right off the bat, my very first thing I need to figure out is I have two numbers behind the decimal, the 9 and the 1. See how there's a decimal? So I have two numbers behind there. So I know since there's two numbers behind the decimal in the question, I've also got to have two numbers behind the decimal in the answer. So I'm going to write a little 2 off to the side just so that I can remember. So now we just multiply like normal. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 8 is 8. And now we do our housekeeping, which is marking out our 1, erasing anything we may have carried, and putting a 0 in the 1's place. Okay, now we have 2 times 9 is 18. So I'm going to write an 8, carry my 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 more is 17. And I have nothing else to multiply by, so I'm just going to write 17. And now I add everything up. So 9 plus 0 is 9. 8 plus 8 is 16. So write my 6, carry my 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. And I just bring down my 1. And then, like I said, I had two numbers behind the decimal in our question. So I need two numbers behind the decimal in our answer. So our answer for number 1 is 18.69 or 18 69 hundredths. Okay, number 2. Now, I'm going to turn my paper so that I have plenty of room to write without coming down here and getting in the room of that. So I'm going to turn my paper sideways, and I'm going to do 16.2 divided by 0.6. Now, yesterday I told you whatever you do on the outside, you've also got to do on the inside. So if we look, we already have a decimal on the outside. We also already have one on the inside. So we don't have to add any decimals like we did yesterday, but we do need to get rid of the decimal that's on the outside because we cannot divide by a decimal number. We can only divide by a whole number. So to do that, I just move this decimal one place to the right. So now instead of 0.6 or 6/10, now I have 6 whole. And then, like I said, whatever I do on the outside, I have to do on the inside. So I'm going to move this decimal right over to the right of the 2. I'm going to move it one place. Now, from here, so that I can remember where I moved my decimal, I'm just going to go ahead and already bring it straight up so that I don't forget. So I brought my decimal straight up. So now I can just go ahead and divide like normal. Well, 6 cannot go into 1 because 1 is too small. But 6 can go into 16. It can go in twice because 6 times 2 is 12. 16 minus 12 is 4. And then I'm going to bring down my 2. 6. How many times can 6 go into 42? Well, it can go in 7. And then 7 times 6 is 42 with 0 as our remainder. So our answer for number 2 is 27. The main thing to remember on these guys is that you cannot, whatever you do on the outside, you also have to do on the inside. So if you moved that decimal one place to the right on the outside, then you need to move the decimal one place to the right on the inside. And then I just brought my decimal straight up. So now we are moving on to number 3. Now, looking at number 3, I need to find a common denominator first because I know I cannot add 4 and 3. Now, guys, I noticed last week on y'all's morning math test that a lot of you just did this. 9 plus 9 is 18. 3 plus 2 is 5. 4 plus 3 is 7. This is not the correct answer. This is going to be wrong. Every single time I'm going to mark it wrong. Because again, if you do not have a common denominator in those fractions, you cannot add them together. And we never add the denominators in the fraction. So first, what we do need to do is find a common denominator. Okay, so we take, right now I'm not even worried about the 2 9s. What I'm worried about is the fractions. So I need to take my 3/4 and my 2/3, and I need to see what they have in common. Well, 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 5 is 15, and I'm going to stop right there. Now I'm going to do 4s. 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. So now I'm going to stop because I see that both 12 is a common denominator for both 3 and 4. So now I need to take those fractions and turn them into twelfths. Okay, so what did I do to get from 4 to 12? Well, I multiplied by 3. And whatever I do on the bottom, I also do on top. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then I come down here to this fraction. What did I do from 3 to get to 12? Well, I multiplied by 4. And again, whatever I did on bottom, I do on top. So 2 times 4 is 8. So now I'm no longer, this is no longer my equation. Now my equation is 9 and 9/12 plus 9 and 8/12. If you need to rewrite this for yourself so that you remember, do that. I'm not doing this just because. I'm doing it because it helps me remember what I'm doing and where I'm at. So now that I have my new equation written, now I need to add just the fractions first. So I have 9 plus 8 is 17 over 12. And then, because again, we do not add our denominators. The denominator stays the same all the way across. The denominators do not get added. So now I take 9 and 9 and I add them, which is 18. Now, I have an improper fraction right here of 17 over 12. Well, to make it proper, I'm going to take out 12/12. I can take out a whole. So if I take out 12/12, when I take it out, I'm going to add it back to the whole number because I just took it out of the fraction so that I could add it back to the whole number, which is then going to give me a whole number of 19. And then if I just took out 12/12 out of 17/12, well, 17 minus 12 is 5. So that leaves me with 5/12 as our fraction. So our answer for this one is 19 and 5/12. So now we are looking down at number 4. It says fill in the blank to make a statement true. Well, again, they do not have common denominators. So we need to make common denominators. So we need to see what 3 and 6 have in common. Well, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Well, guys, right off the bat, I know that I can make 3 into something over 6. So what did I do to get from 3 to 6? Well, I multiplied by 2. And whatever I do on bottom, I also do on top. So 2 times 2 is 4. So now I'm done with these. That's my old fraction. This is my new fraction. So now I have 4/6 plus something 6 equals 1. Well, it wants a whole. And I know a whole, if the fraction is 6, something over 6, it's got to be 6 over 6 to make one whole. So 6 minus 4 is 2. So that means 4/6 plus 2/6 equals 1. So in that box, you should have a 2. Okay, let's look up here at the top. We are looking at number 5. It says 3 plus brackets 10 times 14 minus 4 parentheses then brackets. Now this is going to be our order of operations. So I'm going to write that PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which stands for parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Now, I told y'all wrong last week. If there's not parentheses, then you just multiply or divide first, left to right. And then same thing, after you've multiplied and divided, then you do add and subtract just left to right. So, but this week we do have parentheses. So we're going to start with our parentheses and our brackets. So in our parentheses first is 14 minus 4. 14 minus 4 is 10. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. So bring down my brackets times 10 brackets plus 3. So now I have 3 plus 10 times 10. Now I need to do what's in my brackets. So 10 times 10 is 100. And then bring everything else down. And then 3 plus 100 is easy. That is 103. So our answer for number 5 is 103. Okay, number 6. A gardener has a 50-pound bag of potting soil to divide among 8 flower beds. How much potting soil will he put into each of the following flower beds? Well, he has 8 flower beds and he needs to split this potting soil up. He needs to split this 50-pound bag into each of those flower beds. So it already gives you a hint and says he's going to divide them. So I'm going to take these two numbers and I'm going to divide. And I'm going to do 50 divided by 8. Well, 8 cannot go into 5 because 5 is too small. But 8 can go into 50 6 times. Because 6 times 8 is 48. And then I'm going to subtract, which is 2. But I don't want a remainder on this one. I know that if I keep dividing, I can find something. I think I can find another number. So let's see. I'm going to put a decimal because you have to put a decimal before you put that 0. So now, how many times can 8 go into 20? Well, it can go in 2 times because 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. So now I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. How many times can 8 go into 40? It's 5 because 5 times 8 is 40, which gives us a 0 remainder. So our answer is how much potting soil will he be putting in each of the flower beds? He's going to put 6 25/100ths, or I can write this as, if I wanted to write it as a fraction, I could say 6 1/4 because 25/100ths is 1/4 as a fraction. Number 7. Again, we're multiplying by a multiple of 10, so we are just going to be moving that decimal either left or right. So we are multiplying, which means we're going to be moving our decimal to the right. So I draw my arrow, and then I'm going to circle how many times we're going to do it. So on this first one, we're going to move the decimal to the right 2 times. So I'm going to take the decimal, move it to the right 2 times. 1, 2, which leaves me with 25 decimal. Or you can just put 25. The next one, we're multiplying again, so we're moving to the right again. This time we're only moving to the right 1 time. So I'm going to move that decimal to the right 1 time, which gives us 875 decimal. The next one, we're still multiplying, so we're moving it to the right again. This time we're moving to the right 2 times. Well, this one doesn't have a decimal, so I'm going to rewrite it down here with a decimal. And I remember any whole number is going to have a decimal come at the end. So right now our decimal comes right there. Well, if I need to move it to the right 2 times, I'm going to take this decimal and I'm going to move it. 1, 2. 2 times to the right. Well, in those spaces, I'm just going to put zeros. So now, instead of 209, I have 20,900. decimal. And then the last one, still moving to the right one time. I'm going to move it to the right one time. So now I have 4,713 decimal. Okay, and our last one. We have to make sure we're paying attention and as to what order we're doing stuff in and reading our directions in our problem. It says Jose spent $15.75 at the arcade. Well, we know for sure that's how much Jose spent. So I'm going to write a J, and then I'm going to write $15.75 because that's how much he spent. And then it says Spencer spent twice as much as Jose. So as a reminder, I'm going to write S. Spencer spent twice what Jose spent. Well, Jose spent $15.75, and then it says Spencer spent twice that. So I'm going to do $15.75 times 2. And then it says Marty spent $3 more than Spencer. So Marty spent $15.75 times 2, because that would be Spencer so far. And then it said he spent $3 more than him. So plus 3. So now I'm going to do the math. It says Jose spent $15.75. So we know that for sure. Well, let's find out how much Spencer spent. Spencer spent $15.75 times 2, because it says he spent twice as much as Jose. So this is Jose. Now we're finding out Spencer. 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to write my 0, carry my 1. 2 times 7 is 14. Plus 1 more is 15. So I'm going to write my 5, carry my 1. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 1 more is 11. So I'm going to write my 1, carry my 1. And 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 more is 3. And then I had 2 numbers behind the decimal, so I need 2 numbers behind the decimal here. So now Spencer spent $31.50. So it wants us to know how much did Marty spend? Well, Marty spent $3 more than Spencer. So now I'm going to take that $31.50 and I'm going to add $3 to it. 0. 5 plus 0 is 5. Bring down my decimal. 1 plus 3 is 4. And bring down that 3. So Marty spent $34.50. Does everybody see how I got that? Again, notice how on my sheet there is work written all over it. If you copy this work down and you take really good notes like I've taken on this page, if you do that, you can use those notes for your test on Friday. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, message me on Schoology, or have your parents message me through Remind, and I will be happy to help you in any way that I can. But remember, if you took really, really good notes on this, then you can use those notes to help you with your test on Friday. So I hope you all have a really great day, and I will see y'all later. Bye.